morning. Hi, I'm Kristin Omdahl, and welcome back to Create, Share, Inspire podcast. This is episode 353, and we're here live in Southwest Florida, watching the sunrise over the buildings and the trees to the east, and this is the Gulf of Mexico behind me. We'll wait a couple minutes here and wait for some people to join us live. I didn't schedule the podcast early this morning, so it may take a couple minutes for people to show up. Good morning, Sherry and Brenda, Christy. Thanks for joining live. Glad to see you here. It was stormy. I almost canceled the podcast this morning. It looked like it was going to be too stormy to ride my bike here. Good morning, Karen and Lily. Good day, and Connie. Good morning, Carol. And it's no guarantee that I'm not going to ride my bike home in the rain, so we'll see. But we'll see. Looks like we're getting a cold spell too. Good morning, Carolyn and Judith and Danielle. Glad to see everybody here. Good morning, Nikki. Thanks for joining live. Thanks for joining live. This is episode 353 of Create, Share, Inspire podcast, and we're watching the sunrise over the buildings and the trees to the east. This is the Gulf of Mexico behind me. If you're joining live, please say hello. Let me know where you're from. Let me know what you're crafting on this morning. And if you have any questions for me, please feel welcome to ask. Sherry is asking if this top is from my Amazon store, and it sure is. I absolutely love it. It's one of the chiffon tops, so real loose and drapey. It's not sheer, so you wouldn't see your bra through it, which is nice if you're not wanting to put another layer on top. But it's got, I'll show you the neckline, and then it has a little pleat right here at the bust. This is a size large, and I wanted to show you how long it is too. I wore it over jeans, but I think it's long enough that I would be comfortable wearing this over leggings too, which would be a really fun way to dress up some knit and crochet items, to wear a longer tunic-y type of an underlayer over like one of the ruanas or one of the ponchos or even a shawl. Hi Denisha, thanks for joining live. So this is that darker teal color, but you can find this in my Amazon shop. It is a little over $25. I think it was $27, and I bought the size large, and 5'9", 185 pounds. So it gives you an idea of what size you might want. Good Day is working on the Selena Ruana in DK weight yarn. Great. Hi Grace, thanks for joining live. Sherry's working on the Sally and Sabrina. Good for you. Laura is getting ready to start one of my patterns. Good for you. Caroline's working on the Abby. Hi Judy, thanks for joining live. Lots of activity down here today. We've got lots of people on the beach. The tractor's cleaning the beach. We've got lots of curious birds. Here's the beach to the north of us. You can see quite a few beach goers and a few birds. There's that big tractor. Well, he's going to come closer now. Oh, not too close, that's okay. And then here's the sun coming up over the buildings and the trees. Here's the beach to the south of us. Not as much activity, but a little bit. And back to the beautiful waves. So, I brought some different yarns with me this morning because I know that a lot of people have questions about yarn substitution, and I thought it might be fun to do the same stitch in 4 different weight yarns and then start talking about them after we do it. So I'm going to try to do all that on camera. Don't know how far I'll get. Probably only try to do a couple of rows of maybe 8 or 10 stitches. But I brought 4 different weight yarns. I brought Be So Lush, which is #1 fingering weight. I have other yarns in this weight too, you know, Be So Fine and Be So Toasty, but I brought one of my fingering weight yarns. I brought Be So Sporty Bling, which is a #2 sport weight yarn. I brought Be So Baby, which is a #3 DK weight yarn. And I brought some Tender, Be So Tender, which is a #4 worsted weight yarn. And I'm going to let the first person to suggest what stitch to do. I brought a crochet hook for today. We can do knitting another day. First person to suggest what stitch to do is the one I'm going to go with. I could either start a little motif from the inside out, or I could do a row of some stitches. Sherry says double crochet. All right, that's what we'll do. So I will try to quickly here do 10 stitches of double crochet. Maybe we'll do 8 in 2 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we're going to do 2 more. That's another interesting point. I want to do 8 stitches, so I'm going to do 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 plus 2, so that those first 3 count as a double crochet, and then we'll double crochet in the 4th chain from the hook and in each chain across. And I'll explain that more when I do the next one. Well, now that I'm doing it, I can explain it. Well, first let's explain the stitch. So a double crochet, you're going to see it backwards here unless I turn around. So a double crochet is yarn over, insert your hook in the next chain or stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop. You now have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. We'll do the last one here. I think we're going to need at least 2 rows though to demonstrate this. So I'm going to do a chain 3 now, which counts as my first stitch. So I'm going to turn my work and use that to count as the first stitch. So I'll now skip the first stitch and I'll work my next double crochet into the next stitch. Yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2. And I'll finish this row and then we'll move on to the number 2 sport weight yarn. And then once I've got 2 swatch in each of the 4 yarns in the same size crochet hook, we'll be able to talk about them. Okay, one of my favorite tips for when you're going to set something down is elongate the loop on your hook so it makes it that much harder to unravel by mistake. Alright, so now we'll go to our next yarn, which is a number 2 sport weight yarn. This is Be So Sporty Bling. And I'll tie my yarn to my crochet hook. Another silly piece of drama out there is that there's a right and wrong way to tie your yarn to your crochet hook, and there is not. There's no wrong way to be creative, so however you like to be creative, please feel welcome in doing so. Alright, so we're going to have, we want 8 double crochets. So we're going to chain 8 plus 2 because that last chain of the 8 is our stitch, and then 2 more chains counts as the 3 chains for that stitch. So we're going to chain 10, okay, so now we will, the first 3 chains count as a double crochet. Hi Vera, thanks for joining live. And then we'll double crochet in the 4th chain from hook. And each chain across, double crochet is yarn over your hook. Insert your hook in the next chain, yarn over, pull up a loop. You now have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Maybe on the last swatch I will turn around so you can see it in the right angle, like from my point of view, but for now I'm going to just make these so that we can talk about them, and at this angle I can still read comments if a little bit. There are bugs down here today. Alright, I gotta... Yes, good day. I was going to ask you about that when you said you're doing the Selena in DK weight yarn. Yes, if you look at the pattern, I specifically call out in my patterns for people who like to substitute yarns. I specifically call out how many yards of what weight yarn you need before I even mention what type of yarn I used. Because it is so common that people like to substitute yarns, and there are reasons why it's okay to use different weights yarns and reasons why it may not be okay, and we're going to talk about that when I show you the different swatches here. So we've got our second one done, on to the third. So this time I'm going to use Be So Baby, which is my DK weight yarn, and I'm using a size H hook for all of these because we're trying to do an experiment this morning, right? And if you remember back to high school science class, to do an experiment you have to have one variable and lots of controls. And so the variable today is the different weights of yarn. The controls are same stitch and same size hook. So we're going to chain 10. We want 8 stitches, so we did an 8 plus 2. So the first 3 chains count as our first double crochet, and we'll double crochet in the 4th chain from our hook. And each chain across. I need to make my natural bug repellent. Got to get that reminder to stick in my brain this morning. Okay, so yarn over, insert your hook in the next chain, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through two, yarn over, pull through two, and we will do this all the way across. For our second row, we're going to chain three. Thank you, Denisha. This is colorway turquoise in Be So Baby yarn. I love this color too. It almost has like a jade green look to it as well. So chain three, counts to our first stitch, so we skip the first stitch, double crochet in the next, and in each stitch across. How are we doing on time? Oh, we're doing fantastic on time. This is actually going to work today. And we can do this on any given day with different stitches and different size hooks. In fact, once we have these, I think we'll be able to continue this class or education once because then we can introduce different variables as well. All right, so here's our DK weight, 2 rows of double crochet, and now we'll go on to our worsted weight. This is Be So Tender yarn, which is my number 4 first worsted weight, organic cotton, and then this is in color. This is in color. What color is it? Denim. Somebody mentioned there was no notification today. I'm not sure about that. As you know, YouTube makes changes all the time. I would suggest double checking to make sure that the notification bell is rung on the page. Double check that if you need to recheck that notification bell. Otherwise, it could just be a glitch with YouTube. Don't know. Okay, so I've got 10 chains. We're going to double crochet into the 4th chain from our hook. The first 3 chains counts as the first double crochet. And double crochet in each stitch across. Yarn over, insert your hook in the next chain, yarn over, pull up a loop. We now have 3 loops on our hook. Yarn over, pull through 2 and through 2. Yeah, so if we're going to introduce different variables on other days, what we can do is take each one of these yarns and do the same stitch in different size hooks, so that you can see how you can adjust the drape and the density of your fabric within one yarn based on changing hook, which is a great way to achieve gauge when you're having trouble getting gauge with the suggested hook size or needle size on a given pattern. This is something I like talking about a lot too. Okay, so here's our double crochet version. But we'll get to that. Got to stay on topic first because there's lots to talk about here just with this particular variable. Okay, so now we use a size H crochet hook, double crochet with a double crochet stitch, and now we've got 4 different weights of yarn that we've done it in. So first I'll show you. This is Be So Lush number 1 fingering weight. And then here's number 2 sport weight with Be So Sporty bling. And we'll look at those two side by side. These two actually look rather similar. Now, these also have different fibers. This is organic cotton and bamboo blended together. And this is all bamboo with a thread of pure silver plied into it. Yes, Be So Fine yarn is number 1 fingering weight. So then the next yarn I have here is the number 3 DK weight, Be So Baby. And then we'll look at all 3 of these side by side. And you see, you lose some of the laciness now. Now, if you wanted to gain back some of the laciness of these two in this yarn, you would have to go up in hook size. But what's going to happen when you go up in hook size to get a lacier look? You're also going to go up in gauge. So it depends on what you're making and what you're modifying to decide if that's a good choice or not. And then we'll go to our worsted weight here. Try to hold all of them at once again. Not everything's easy to do at the beach, but I'm trying. Maybe I'll bring a poster board or something to hold these up, I don't know. So here's the fingering, number 1 fingering weight, number 2 sport weight, number 3 DK weight, and number 4 worsted weight. And what I can tell you is between these two fabrics is that this one, even though I was saying this one has less laciness and drape than this one, it has a heck of a lot more than this one. This one feels rather dense in this size crochet hook. So, but let's picture it in our minds though. If is Judith, the silver is plied into the yarn. It's not just loosely sitting next to the yarn, so it wouldn't snag any more than any other yarn. You know, if you're going to wear dangly earring or dangly jewelry with lots of prongs, you run the risk of snagging anything, whether it's a woven fabric like this, a machine knit fabric, or certainly a handmade lace project. Jewelry with prongs is always going to be a problem with clothes and any other type of snagging type things, but the silver in this yarn is no exception to that. It's no more snaggy because it's plied in. It's not just sitting next to the other fibers. Hope that answers your question. But yeah, jewelry in general is not great for, jewelry with prongs is not great for any fibers. It's something to be worn with care, especially when you're going to wear something that has lots of texture. So anything with laciness, jewelry is always going to be a consideration. Okay, back to the topic on hand. So, okay, so I was going back to this one. So let's say you saw a pattern in sport weight yarn and you wanted to do it in worsted weight yarn, and so you did this in the hook size that was suggested and you came out with this fabric and it's more dense than you wanted it to be, or more heavy like someone was saying. They're saying they're doing one of my patterns that called for a sport weight yarn and doing in a DK weight yarn, and she thinks it's a little heavy. Well, it is heavier than the original because you're using a heavier yarn. Now, if that's okay with you, fine. If you want to adjust your hook size to create a looser and more delicate fabric, that's fine, but you'll be changing your gauge. So unless then you modify the number of stitches you do or the number of rows you do, once you would make your gauge larger, you're going to make a larger project. So all of it's doable. It's whether or not you understand how to do it and whether or not that finished look is really something you want. How something looks in a different yarn, it will never look the same in something else. It can look similar, it can look better, and it can look worse, but it'll never be the same. How can it be the same? You chose something different, right? What else? How these adjust in water is also a big difference too. So once you block these, you may find that even the denser ones do loosen up. So you would also want to make sure that you block your swatches and go from there. Does anybody have any questions about that? Sounds good. Good day. Hi, Donna. Sherry understands. Cool. But it's a great experiment. I would highly recommend doing this yourself too. Do a couple of swatches in your different yarns so that you can personally see how they feel and how they look differently. I think that you will, if you take what did it take me, 20 minutes to do this? Even if you spent an hour doing something like this at home and experimented with seeing how the different yarns react to the same stitch and the same size crochet hook, I think that you will really find it very interesting to look at them, to touch them, to see how they drape, to see the density, to see how the changes in the holes, to even see how you can see the stitches better. Sometimes you can see the stitch work better in a different gauge. So I highly recommend doing this experiment at home. I think that you will find that you will learn a lot about what you like and what you don't like. Denisha got 8 inches of snow yesterday. Wow. Yes, we're live in Southwest Florida. This is the Gulf of Mexico behind me. Oh, sorry you're sick, Thea, but glad you can be here. All right, well, let's go. I think I'd like to read the next quote in my Create, Share, Inspire notebook today. This is in Volume 1, Issue 5, and this is from Thomas Jefferson. And it is, "Do not bite at the bait of pleasure till you know there is no hook beneath it." Wow, that's a good one. I know I say that, but I can't help it. They are all good ones. Say it again. "Do not bite at the bait of pleasure till you know there is no hook beneath it." Man, if I'd have only known that one 20 years ago, right? I think the sooner you can learn something like that, the sooner you can be more cautious about people that look like they're going to be nice to you when they really aren't. Although I've always struggled with this my whole life. I don't want to become a jaded person just because people have been mean to me for whatever reasons. It's on them, it's not on me. And so I try to stay open-minded and trusting when I meet new people and when I talk to people. But it really is important to make sure what someone's agenda is before you let someone too deeply into your circle. You know, I try to live by the golden rule and always have, and I'm really proud of that. I'm proud that I do that. I make a choice every day to live by the golden rule, treat people the way I want to be treated. And I love defending other people. I love, love, love helping an underdog, helping other people. I pride myself on having a YouTube channel and a Facebook group where I tell people you're safe in my house, right? And I feel that way about my friends in real life and friends online. It's really important to me to keep other people safe. But where I struggle is doing the same thing for myself, right? I want to be trusting, I want to be open, but sometimes I run the risk of being too open and too trusting and letting other people hurt me. And God, I'm 46 years old and I still haven't figured this out. But somehow I got to remember to do all of that good stuff for me too, not just for other people. And remember that I need to protect myself as well. And so when things happen, when bad things happen, you know, you have to try to remember that it's okay to defend yourself and it's okay to protect yourself too. And the sooner we can recognize the bait of pleasure with a hook in it, we need to remove it from our lives, right? So let's read the quote again. Thomas Jefferson, "Do not bite at the bait of pleasure till you know there is no hook beneath it." Man, the sooner we can all realize that, the easier life would be. Because you know what? No matter how hard we try to be good people, there are people that have other agendas around us, and we don't always see it right away. We don't always know what to do with it when we do find out. But all I can say is, trust your gut, do what you have to do, and remember that you are worthy of standing up for as well, not just the people around you. I love taking care of and defending the people around me, but I have to remember that it's okay to stand up for myself too, because it's not okay for people to treat me mean either. So that's all I'll say about that. We're out of time, so thank you so much everybody for taking time out of your busy day to spend a few minutes here with me. I hope you enjoyed the sunrise. I hope you enjoyed my little science experiment this morning. I highly recommend doing the science experiment yourself. I am almost certain you will enjoy touching and feeling the different swatches if you change yarns, but keep the stitch and the hook the same, and I'd love to hear what you have to say about it. Leave me a comment in the recorded version if you do this, and let me know what your thoughts are on changing gauge with the same stitch, or changing yarn weights with the same stitch and the same hook. Let us make time to create, share, and inspire today and every